Hey guys, it's Proc and welcome back to another Geoguessr video. So since the last one, I've been keeping my eye out for more funny metas, and I'm happy to say that I have found my new favorite funny meta. So I hope you guys are excited for that. Real quick though, I want to clarify a few things from last video. I saw quite a few people talking about the word meta and how it doesn't really mean what I was using it for. And yes, I agree that's true, but within the Geoguessr community, over the past several years, people have been using meta to refer to any clue you can use to help you guess where you are. And it's kind of just become a common accepted use. Words change meaning over time, and even if I wanted to, I don't think I could force myself to not say it anymore since it's just become too ingrained. One other thing is the thumbnail. I'm sorry I baited a few people with that. I made the thumbnail after I'd already recorded the video. But in case you didn't already know, I think most people do, there's a pretty famous phallic art meta in Bhutan. It's a country that's pretty easy to recognize and really small, so it doesn't really matter. But for whatever reason, you can read the Wikipedia article if you're interested. There's quite a bit of phallic art all over the buildings in rural and urban Bhutan. So there you go. Okay, so on to the new stuff. You guys may have seen this meme that was circulating a while back as this anime has become more popular. I saw it, I thought it was pretty funny, didn't really think much of it until recently I saw a post that says that these are fairly specific to a city in Romania, and that city is Sibiu right here in the middle. You shouldn't be able to find these houses anywhere else, I think, in the world, especially not in Romania, and they look just like they do in the meme. They have these weird second story windows, I guess it is. You don't always see two of them, so you could just see the one. But as far as I know, they're unique to this city, and they are pretty common. Not the most common thing in the world, but it's actually a pretty good sized city. So if you do see them, then you know you're in Romania, and more importantly, you know you're right in the middle of the country in Sibiu. So a lot of people are probably familiar with the general architecture trend in the UK, where you get more brick houses in the south, and as you go more north into Scotland, you get more drab, kind of gray-looking buildings. And I want to take a look specifically at Aberdeen. I was seeing some history about some granite mine or something, but moral of the story is in the middle of Aberdeen and even on the outskirts, every single building you see is made of the same granite from some nearby quarry. So I'm just going to click on a random location here. I promise this is not set up just to show you guys what I mean. I'll click down in the center here. And here you go. Actually, it's a bad example because there's some new building without it, but even the accents are made in it. But as you can see, pretty much everything, okay, sorry, bad example, but I swear everything in this city is made of the same granite stone. It looks kind of like cinder blocks. Especially in the older parts of the city, if you do see some more newer buildings and maybe not so much, but pretty much anything that looks like it was built over like 50 years ago is in this exact stone. Here's another location. Even the KFC is in this stone, especially in the downtown, which is where this is. Here's a better example where I think pretty much every single structure we can see is made of this material. All right, let's move over to Brazil. It's a huge country, really, really important to be able to region guess within the country. One of the more famous region guessing metas is the Parana pines down here in the state of Parana in the south. Really interesting looking pine tree. I'm not going to talk about that though. I'm going to talk about urban locations, which are a lot more difficult, in my opinion, to region guess unless you know the specific metas. And I'm going to teach you guys a thing or two about lamps. So lamps are a pretty popular urban region guessing meta throughout Brazil, but it's pretty hard to learn all of them. So I'm just going to show you guys the easiest, in my opinion, funniest ones, which are found in Parana. So here's what a regular Brazilian lamp looks like. It has a long arm and then it has the lamp head on the end of it. But in Parana, you can find these really interesting, almost European looking fancy lamps that you can't find anywhere else in the country. If you know you're in Brazil and you see some of these, you can confidently send the state of Parana down in the south. Won't see these anywhere else. They're really interesting looking, pretty cool lamps. And another lamp that is specific to the state are these really funny, super, super stubby short lamps. So normally, here's another normal lamp. They have a long arm, and then they have the lamp head. But these ones, for some reason, they just, I don't know, forgot to put on the huge lamp. I guess they remembered over there. But as far as I know, you won't see these short, stubby lamps like this outside of Parana in Brazil. Okay, so unfortunately, this next one is not really going to be useful, but it is very funny, and that's what matters here. You are not looking at a camera glitch, you're actually looking at a bag which is over the Google camera. So I think they have these bags over the cameras before they're in use, and they take them off before they actually start like recording and taking pictures. This is an example in the Dominican Republic where you can find this. I think you can find this in a couple places around the world with different types of bags. This one, as you can see, really only lasts for like, a couple hundred feet. There's another one that's a little bit more useful, and that's in Maun, Botswana. So as you can see, this might just look like you failed to load the location, but if you look a little more closely, you can still see the Google watermarks. And if you turn around, you can even see this zipper is what I think it is, or something like that. And this one continues for quite a while on this road. You're probably never going to get this in like a hand-picked location map, but if you're playing any world map or official competitive, there's a chance you can get this. And as far as I know, the only place where you get the total black with the zipper is a pretty long distance along this road in Maui. Okay, this one again is going to be for my world map OGs. So if you play some competitive or if for some reason you still haven't discovered the better world maps to play, this one is going to come really in handy. This is the baggy versus tight pants meta. I know some people have talked about this before, but I just think it's too funny not to share again. So as you can see, these people have some kind of baggy pants. And if you've caught on kind of to where we are, it's probably going to be Pakistan or India. Sometimes with a lot of the trekker locations, it's hard to tell which one it actually is. But if you see a lot of baggy pants, you can pretty confidently send Pakistan over India. And then here is an Indian location. There's some like Muslim stuff, so you might think maybe it's more Pakistan. But as we can see, this guy's got some tighter pants on. Look at those almost skinny jeans over there. Some more skinny jeans. And I don't know why this works so well. There must be some like cultural or religious reason behind it. But for whatever reason, if you are in the tracker location, you're not sure if it's India or Pakistan, you don't have enough text, check the pants. Okay, it is finally time to show you guys my new favorite funny meta on Geoguessr, and this is the OWO meta for city name endings in Poland. So as you can see on this map here, I found this in a Reddit post a while back, and then I found some other things about it when I searched it up. There is actually a fairly distinct line in the middle of Poland that separates the OWO cities from the just O cities. I know that's not actually how you pronounce it, but it's too funny to not pronounce it that way. Here's another image that shows the distinction a little more clearly. As you can see, it's fairly stark. Of course, there are exceptions, but there's like thousands of each of these. So odds are if you see an OWO, then you're fairly certain to be in the north of Poland. And I think everybody has some difficulty region guessing in Poland, so this is actually a really useful meta. And I've been testing it out myself the past couple weeks, and it's pretty common, especially if you're playing moving games, to see those little green signs at the entrances of cities that say the name, and a lot of them end in something like a whoa. If you take a look at that other graphic, you can see there's a couple other endings that are a little bit less reliable, but I just thought this was the perfect meta. And every time I get a Polish location now, I'm just super, super excited and really hopeful that I'll find an OWO somewhere in there. Okay, so Russia. If you are not GeoSteak on YouTube, you probably have some trouble region guessing in Russia. I know I do. I always hate guessing Moscow, and it turns out to be like max east or something like that. So here is a tip to help you get a little bit more confident in guessing far east, because I know it's kind of a scary thing to guess out here since there's just a lot less coverage. So in the regions that are really close to Japan over here, they actually have quite a few imported directly from Japan cars, and that means that the steering wheels are on the wrong side of the car since Japan drives on the left. So these are pretty out of place in Russia, and once you start looking for them, you probably will see a lot of them if you're over here on the east. So especially in places like Sakhalin, especially the capital city over here, Vladivostok, Khabarovsk, and all these cities that are kind of around here, have a majority of cars almost with the steering wheel on the right side of the car instead of the left side of the car. So let's take a look at some of these locations. So as you can see, here's a guy driving on the right side of the car, and it's actually really useful because you can see it from a far distance if there's no passenger. Even if you don't see the wheel itself, you can see the person is on the right side of the car. Here's some more examples where they're on the right side of the car. This one's in Sakhalinsk. Here's an example in Vladivostok. Here's that steering wheel on the right side of the car. That guy's on the right side of the car. Here's another right side of the car. And you can really see these throughout this region of the country. And I use it as a metric, kind of looking at the ratio of cars that have, see, here's one that's actually on the left, which is standard for right-hand drive countries. and then here's one that's on the right. So this one's in Khabarovsk, which does have a little bit more regular cars for right-hand drive. But anyway, if you do see some of these weird, kind of funky, something looks a little bit off about it, maybe take a look at what side of the car they're driving on and if it seems normal. Okay, so last funny meta before I talk about some honorable mentions is going to be eswatini. So when I was learning, I definitely had some trouble differentiating South Africa from eswatini and even Lesotho to a lesser extent. Now I kind of have the vibes down where I don't really need a specific clue, but some of my friends who are still learning definitely still have trouble with this. And one thing that I always recommend looking at is the eswatini grass. So this seems like a weird thing to look at. And I think even Rainbow had some grass or soil guessing things where he had some eswatini, and it really is a reliable meta. So if you look, you see this long grass. Sometimes it's been cut or burned, but if you see remnants of it or the grass itself, you can almost 100% send eswatini. There are some regions, of course, where you can see it right around the country in South Africa, but 9 times out of 10, if you see this grass, it's going to be eswatini. Okay, so some honorable mentions of metas that I was really disappointed that I couldn't really include in this video because I discovered they weren't as reliable as I thought. The first one, I thought this was going to be a meta specific to Bolivia, and that's these Bolivia bucket hats. Up in this high altitude region, you see a ton of people wearing these bucket hats. I know there are actually some Bolivian like bowler hat things that are more traditional, but those are just so rare to see that they don't really ever actually come in handy. Here's another example of some of these hats. They are all over. Unfortunately, they are also over the border in Peru. So if you do see them, you can still kind of guess in the Lake Titicaca, like high elevation region. But unfortunately, this is not as specific as I would have hoped. Okay, and the last meta is going to be one for South Africa. It's not really a hard country to tell you're in, so unfortunately it's not so useful. I thought it was region or province specific, but I did some more research, and unfortunately it's not, but it's just too funny not to share. And this is going to be the sketchy advertisements on poles and signbacks. So as you can see, there's these ads that just have a phone number and one word, and it's usually abortion or penis enlargement. So as you can see, they look kind of like this. They're plastered over like poles and the backs of signs and stuff like that. You can find them in pretty much every city in the country. Things like this. Here's some more. Um, Sometimes they put them on the backs of like stop signs and stuff. Here's some abortion, penis enlargement. In the richer cities, especially Cape Town, you can still see these, maybe a little bit fewer. A lot of times they're kind of scraped off of the poles or the back, but you can still see the remnants, and it's kind of once you start looking, it's really obvious what they're from. But like I said, this is really only a meta to tell you're in South Africa, which isn't really that hard in the first place. But yeah, I wanted to show it anyway just because it was so funny. Okay, so those are all the metas I have for this video. If you guys did enjoy, please leave a like. And if you have any other funny metas, please suggest them in the comments. I actually used a couple from the comments of last video in this one. I'm kind of at the end of my rope in terms of funny metas, but I'm sure there's always more that are just waiting to be discovered. So until next time, I will see you guys later.